Illegal Broadcasting Code. That's from SERAP, that is Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project. Away from that development, we've also seen various other reactions, and that's what we're going to be talking about this morning on Political Voices. The new controversial NBC Code, its likely effect on the media and governance. Before we get to analyze that topic, there are top trending political stories as well. The Chairman House of Representatives Committee on Aviation, Honorable Noliman Naji, has described as unfortunate the alleged destruction of the Akanu Ibiam International Airport perimeter fence by an indigene, architect J.J. Emejulu. Honorable Naji noted that all over the world, property are relinquished by citizens for overriding public interest. He as well added that several other people, including communities, had lost their landed property both for the airport use and for the relocation of the market that existed within the airport environment for the extension of the runway. He said it was regrettable that such incident had to happen at the time of the reopening of the airport, which is very critical to the people. Now recall, we were told by the Minister of Aviation that by the 30th of this month we would see the airport Akanu Ibiam reopened. That's about 1 year plus that it was closed down for rehabilitation. We've also heard a story of architect Emejulu allegedly moving equipment to the location early on Wednesday with thugs and deployed earth-moving equipment to knock down about 2 kilometers of the airport fence, claiming that he had court judgment to demolish the fence and other illegal structures on his land. Away from that, Honorable Noliman Naji equally gave a kudos to the Governor of Enugu State, Right Honorable Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, especially for constructing access road to navigational aid sites and other ancillary works at the airport. He equally acknowledged the commitment, rather, of the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, and the management of the various agencies under the Aviation Ministry towards the completion of works and the subsequent reopening of the airport. Away from that story, the President of Party Advisory Council of Nigeria, IPAC, High Chief Peter Ame, has called on the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to urgently relist the 74 political parties in accordance with the judgment of the Court of Appeal. Now, INEC has been under fire to relist the registered political parties in Nigeria. High Chief Ame, who is the national chairman of Progressive People's Alliance, in a statement he issued yesterday in Abuja, also advised INEC to jettison the temptation to appeal the judgment, which according to him would amount to a show off. The Court of Appeal, led by its president, delivered a judgment on the 10th of August 2020 by ordering INEC to release the appellants who were illegally deregistered. Stay with us on Political Voices. We are going to be looking at the controversial new NBC Code, its likely effects on the media and governance. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Political Voices. It's 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. Remember, we are streaming live on 3 platforms. It's a TriCast, yes, on Facebook, 925 Dream FM. Thank you for joining us there. The Twitter handle at Dream925FM, and on YouTube, Dream TV Enugu. Welcome. My name is Ezine Aningwe. We have with us in the studio Comrade Kenneth Ofoma, Acting Vice President, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Southeast Zone. He's also the political analyst. Thank you for coming. Good morning.
It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Yes. We also have here with us Dr. Nnamdi Okenwa, Senior Lecturer, Mass Communication Department, ESUT. He's a public affairs analyst as well. Welcome. Good morning, Dr. Okenwa.
Good morning. I'm always pleased to be around.
Chief Dr. Charlie Okwesili is here with us, former Director News, ESBS, a public relations consultant and mass communication scholar. Welcome, Chief Okwesili.
Good morning, my dear listener. Charlie Okwesili, Chief.
Chief Charlie Okwesili. Yes, you're welcome. All right, so let's begin with you, Comrade Ken Ofoma.
Yes.
When you heard the news, before we even heard about the slamming of 5 million naira fine on the radio station in Lagos, there has been this controversy over the 6th NBC Code amendment. And I know you followed the story. Exactly. How did that come to you?
Well, we monitored the development with a sort of apprehension, knowing that the way the process was going, it was not likely to follow the procedure, the normal and the right procedure. It was as though government was the complainant and the judge. They were using the camouflage of increasing incidents of what they term hate speech and fake news to drive the amendment, which shouldn't be so. And we now saw that instead of bringing in the stakeholders, the necessary, the key stakeholders.
Who are the key stakeholders?
Now, when you want to do anything relating to the code, NBC, Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, first of all, it is a regulatory body established by law. They have a board. And now you have Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BORN. These are major stakeholders. Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria is made up of broadcasters in the private and, of course, public sector. They relate as organization to look into the practice, the ethics, and challenges. They sit from time to time to review alongside the board and management of Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, NBC. And of course, there are other stakeholders like the civil society, the even NUJ, and the Editors Association and what have you. These are critical stakeholders. Usually, you advertise for people to make input, and when they make it, send in their whatever they think they should be reflected or should be changed or added. Then the board and the other critical stakeholders will sit and come up with a draft, which will be looked into again and generally approved. But what we now saw was first of all infighting within the commission itself. There was infighting within the commission. On 26th of June, there was an advertorial. There was an advertorial in this day newspaper calling for Nigerians and other stakeholders to send in their input for the proposed Sixth Amendment. That advertisement was signed by the chairman of the board of the NBC. And as Nigerians were preparing to send in their various inputs, just 3 days after that, I think on 29th of the same June, another advertisement was published in 3 newspapers this day, Vanguard, Punch, and I think Leadership 4 newspapers, contradicting the earlier announcement. This time around, signed by the Director General of NBC. Gotcha. Now saying that the public should ignore
the earlier
one by the chairman of the board of NBC, that they had already concluded the discussion on the amendment, Sixth Amendment, or review of the code that is awaiting presidential approval. So people were confused. Two agencies. And then the next thing we had was the launch of the new NBC code, the Sixth NBC code, on 4th of August by the Minister of Information.
And the same Minister of Information.
Minister of Information is not a regulatory agency.
Well, he has come out to address. He has come out to address a lot of the talks that that are flying around, and that's the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed. Yes. According to a statement he released just recently, July 30th, actually, before he released that the Sixth Amendment, he said that the amendment of the code was well-intentioned and it will reposition the broadcast industry in a manner that will benefit all stakeholders and practitioners. Well, that was what he said before the launch.
Let me say something before you move away. Ministry of Information is a supervisory body. It cannot, by any stretch of imagination, take over the responsibility of NBC.
All right.
NBC is supposed to be a neutral regulatory body. Ministry can only play supervisory role. Now, but you see all the announcements being made. It is as if even the board, like you rightly said in your earlier introduction, the board of NBC has even discountenanced the 6th Amendment to the code.
All right.
Saying that it was the minister that hijacked it, and whatever he did, well, it should be.
At this point, let's hear your thoughts, Chief Charlie.
Well, I like the analysis my friend has done regarding the trajectory we are facing today. I want to remind our dear listener that for nearly 11 months, the scheming by the minister to have this code reintroduced had been on. Hate speech took the floor some 6 months ago. It was topic all over the media. But like he said, it was a script written by the minister and the presidency that made it possible for part of the NBC to try to override the authority of the chairmanship of the board. And what we are seeing today is not different from our thoughts. Remember that this particular administration, personified by Buhari, was there in 1984, 83, 84. And we saw rules, regulations against the media and the effects. Remember the locking up of Tunde Thompson and Dokai Rabo, the killing of Bartholomew Owo, and people like that. It is accidental. So what is happening now is targeted at achieving an aim. And apart from the media sector industry, it is still being seen in other sectors of our life of this kind of thing going on as well. So it's aimed at kowtowing Nigerians to a specific achievement or objective by this administration.
Dr. Kenwa, how did that news come to you?
Not as a shock at all, because like Charlie said, it started a long time ago. The Minister of Information had been very, very jittery because he saw the media growing. He saw broadcasting growing to accommodate the social media. And he was afraid of the strength of the media. So the word hijack is a very good word. He made up his mind to hijack the responsibilities of the commission, but he was not smart enough. If you want to change the situation, the best thing he would have done, bring together those who know more than you know, because there are many people who are more experienced than he. Has just been in the ministry for some time. He said he was a media man. How effective he was during his time, I don't even know. But for him to sidetrack the stakeholders, he didn't consult the Guild of Editors. He didn't consult the Bond. And he thought that the kind of thing he does to government-owned, federal government-owned media would be what he would want to do with all the media in Nigeria. And the commission is expected to enjoy some measure of independence. But that independence is frightening the minister very much, because the way he thought he could trample on what he called hate speech, which will be difficult for us if we begin to define what constitutes hate speech. Because anything you say contrary to what the government has said is hate speech.
Is that your
investigation into issues concerning the government is hate speech? Anything that goes outside the way Femi should have said it or Garba should have said it amounts to hate speech. And so you find that they were very uncomfortable. They wanted to move. The idea was to move the commission as an agent of the Ministry of Information, as an agent of the ruling party, so they can control the media and use the media the way they want. If the idea to amend was well intentioned,
all right,
nothing would have been wrong bringing the stakeholders together And when you bring stakeholders together, you will get better results than we've gotten at the moment.
We've been joined all the way from Abuja by the president of Nigerian Union of Journalists, Chris Isiguzo. Thank you for joining us on Political Voices. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I saw your reaction to that decision or the fine slammed on Nigerian Info radio station in Lagos. We're talking about the 6th amendment to the NBC code. It's generated quite a lot of controversy until the scapegoat, the Nigerian Info became a scapegoat and they received that fine. You called on NBC to quickly rescind that anti-people policy. You refer to it as anti-people policy. Talk to us more about it.
Well, once again, thanks for having me on your program. Like I said earlier on, that fine remains highly outrageous and is an act of impunity against the media. We are so concerned that for several years now, the country has continued to record some of the highest level of violence, clearly